Hi guys, it's Megan, and this week we are going to be talking about the last Fallout 4 DLC. It is the end of Fallout 4. This marks the beginning of the countdown to Fallout 5. Nuka-World is the last Fallout 4 DLC, and I'm going to be reviewing it in this video. Let's just begin with the basis of this DLC, and that is the main story. And I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just gonna try to skim through it really quick. You get to Nuka-World, there's 3 raider groups. You have the Pack, which is like a bunch of animal-loving psychopaths who are really colorful. They kind of reminded me of the Joker or and then you have the Operators, which are kind of like, I would say, the Italian mob type of group. They really like money and they have really nice hair. And then lastly you have the Disciples, which is basically a group of serial killers. So you have 3 raider groups. They're all equally pretty bad. I guess depending on what you think is bad. They're all pretty bad though. Basically, you're the leader. There you go. That's the basis of the story. But let's talk about some of the little details that I think are really important. First one being, this is not just going to a theme park full of raiders. It is a lot more complex in that there actually is a story behind this. And I personally love that. At the beginning, there's like an entire section that really, it's straight out of a Saw movie, which is pretty awesome to me as a Saw fan. At the end of this maze, which is the beginning of the story, you're kind of forced into being a raider boss. And that's not really a spoiler, it's kind of just the beginning of the story. So when we heard, at one point, I don't remember who said it, but they said a chance to be the bad guy. Not really given a chance. It's kind of like, if you're really into role-playing and you really like being the good guy, this might not be the DLC for you, but I mean, at the same time, I really recommend playing it because it's fun. You know, it's bad. No matter what you do, it's pretty bad. So essentially, you enter Nuka-World and there are 5 sections of the park. Each park has a different situation going on, and it's all a part of the main quest, and that's basically what the main quest is going to each of these parks. All of these areas have their own story. I would really recommend reading terminals, looting corpses, listening to holotapes, reading notes, going through everything in this DLC, because this DLC brought back that heavy lore. Like, it rewards you for reading terminals, which I missed in Fallout 4. I feel like Fallout 4, there was not enough of that stuff. Everything in this DLC is answered and has a path. Each zone has its own story, and I would really recommend looking into each of the stories, trying to figure out what happened there. Some of them are very shallow and basic, and you can kind of figure it out just by entering it. Some of them are a lot deeper and go a lot deeper than that, and you can find remnants of this story as you travel through the zone. Aside from the whole choice to be bad, that one, not too much of an issue for me because I was okay with being bad because I've just always really liked raiders because raiders are cool, let's be honest. The raider quests that you are given, this is a lot like with any faction because it's kind of like factions, kind of different, but kind of still factions. A lot of the quests send you outside of Nuka-World and into the Commonwealth, which I thought was horrible and a point that I should bring up because it sucks. It's a bummer. It's like I wanted to discover Nuka-World. I didn't want to be sent out to do things in the Commonwealth because I've already done things in the Commonwealth. Not as focused on story content as Far Harbor was. Far Harbor was kind of like a cut and dry. It was a story, and that's why you were playing it. You were playing it to figure out the end of the story. This game is not about the story. It is about the world, and we are going to talk about that because it is my aesthetic? I don't know. Nuka-World is awesome. I was actually kind of confused by this because each of those lands that you go to are so big that it almost seems like they're their own theme parks. Like, it's that large. The distance between them is pretty large too. There's reskins of a lot of monsters, and each park has their own unique monsters. Unique being a reskin, but unique. Anyways, my favorite was the Kitty Kingdom because it was like giant ice cream and lollipop, and it was super cute. And then the Galactic Zone was all space. And the Galactic Zone has a really cool roller coaster area, which was pretty awesome. Western area, which I don't remember the name. That was probably my least favorite place, but still very themed, very cool. Kind of creepy because there was a lot of skeletons, and the skeletons were like on a roller coaster, and it was pretty violent looking to me, and it freaks me out. Roller coasters and death, not my aesthetic. The Safari Zone was probably one of the most interesting ones just because it's a bunch of it's like a zoo, and there's actually more in-depth story in the Safari Zone and the Kitty Kingdom. Town USA is pretty awesome too. There are raiders obviously occupying that area. I went into a cafe too at one point, and it was super cool because it was like this theme park cafe, and it was just full of blood and guts, and it was pretty awesome to me. I just love that. I don't know why. It was just so pleasing. Decayed, which is an arcade. The arcade games I was pleasantly surprised with. I've heard a couple people complain about them, but I think that it was fun. And there's a whole new ticket system, which is basically like a currency type system where you can cash in tickets for prizes, and some of the prizes are weapons and armor, which is really cool. And yeah, you can play a variety of different games, and you can totally cheat at them, just like you do at Chuck E. Cheese. So the map of Nuka-World, the entirety of the DLC, is actually really large. I spent a lot of time, and this video actually took me a while to make because I've been playing it, discovering the outskirts of the park, because you have the theme park obviously in the middle, and then you have all this other open space, which to me, I was like, oh, if this is a Bethesda game, it's not just open space, it's not just a bunch of nothing. Well, kind of meets in the middle there. There's a lot of stuff on the outskirts. There's a lot of unmarked locations, which I thought was weird. There are only a few marked like points of interest, I guess you could say. You do get some miscellaneous quests from being in Nuka-World, listening to people talk. There's a haunted house, like a mystery house, which has a lot of references to anything like paranormal. I would definitely recommend checking that out if you're a horror fan. The apologist camp, which is like a side quest line. There is Bradberton, which is like a little city. There's also a red rocket where you can build. There are a few other locations kind of scattered, like a junkyard, which is, it's okay. There wasn't really anything there. Kind of really the theme though with the outskirts of it. There's not that many locations. It's such a big map. I was pretty disappointed. I was hoping that there would be, you know, stuff everywhere because it's, I don't know, because they could. And there really just wasn't. It was a lot of empty space, a lot of just, you know, bugs and monsters that were kind of like, eh. I'm going to talk about the spoiler. It's not really a big spoiler, but it is a part of the story, so if you don't want to know anything about the story, I would recommend either speeding up or stop watching now, because it's going to spoil a part of the DLC that adds something to the base game. So this is the change to the settlement system in this game, and to me, I love it. You can now raid settlements. I think that's awesome. I think that it should have been implemented in the base game, in the original game. It would have made everything better. This is so cool because you have a gang. You either kill or intimidate the settlers until they leave, and then you take it over for your raiders. And you get raided by opposing raider gangs. You get problems with the Minutemen, obviously. And you also get to like go to other settlements and basically like beat the crap out of them until they give you food. Which is violent, but it's kind of realistic for, like, if you're into RPGs and it's a post-apocalyptic RPG, you know? Raiding settlements actually fits really, really well. Obviously, it's not the good guy route, and it kind of does make you feel a little bit evil. Taking care of a raider settlement versus a regular settlement is a lot easier. Raiders don't need as much, and since you have other settlements just sending them food and stuff, it's pretty easy, and it's actually a lot more fun, in my opinion. I only have one problem generally with the entirety of Nuka-World. Like, I loved this DLC. I want to just say, like, as a final verdict, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I loved what it added to the game. I loved Nuka-World in general. I thought Nuka-World was awesome. I think it's so fun to be able to run around an amusement park. It's a dream come true to run around an abandoned Disneyland type amusement park and also be a raider boss at the same time. Just, it did two things for me. But there is one problem that is ironic, but it still irritates me. Building in Nuka-World doesn't really exist. I know that we've gotten a lot of settlement DLCs. I know that Bethesda's probably just like, you know, we're done with settlements. Like, nobody likes them. Everybody complains. But of all the places to want to build, why Nuka-World has one place to build? It's a red rocket, and I'll give it to them. It's a huge space. There's a lot of space to build. but it's outside of Nuka-World. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's by the bottling plant, which is not even super cool. I was hoping that each individual land would become a settlement type of thing, and you could build there and you could take care of the raiders that you put there, and there would be, you know, you could like do whatever you want. No, not the case at all. And that's just lame. Honestly, like for all the settlement stuff that we've been given and all the settlement stuff that's been like pushed at us, it's like of all the places, this is when you decide to stop? Why? The one place you build in Nuka-World, you have to give it to, or you have to essentially make it into a settlement, meaning that there are raiders there. You can't really do anything because there's no other settlements around, so you kind of are stuck, and it's kind of really weird that that's even a situation. Also, they give you a house, kind of be like in Fallout 3, where you could get your own little condo in the tower. What was it called? Or Megaton, you could get a house in either of those places, and you could decorate it and put all your stuff there. In this, you don't get to do anything with it at all. There's like chests, I guess you could put your stuff in, but other than that, it's really just like another location in the game. Oddly enough, my problem is that there's not enough building opportunities in Nuka-World. Overall, I did absolutely love this DLC though. I just love the aesthetic of an abandoned amusement park. I think that's so cool. I think that the whole Nuka-Cola thing is super cute. I would definitely recommend getting it. I think this probably, I feel like I've said this so many times, but I think this honestly is the DLC to buy. Absolutely 100%. If you don't buy any other DLC, this is it. Especially if you hate settlement building, because this DLC, it adds a lot to settlements, I'll admit. But I think it really does kind of give you more stuff to do, and it doesn't bottleneck you into that. Because even Far Harbor, there were several places to build there. And after Far Harbor was over, that was kind of what was left to do. After the Nuka-World main quest is over, there are tons of side quests to do. There are tons of things to do, and it doesn't have anything to do with building. This is kind of like the Fallout 4 that I've wanted since the trailer came out, since it was announced. Go check out Nuka-World. I definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorite DLCs that Bethesda has ever done. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!